Hi, it's Ike from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got another book to read for you. Today's book is Winnie the Pooh from 1989. So let's get started. One fine autumn day, Winnie the Pooh sat on a log in front of his house in the 100-acre woods. Something seemed to be wrong. Instead of his usual smile, Pooh Bear was wearing a frown and scratching his head. Think, think, think. Whatever can be wrong, said Pooh. He was a bear of little brain. So thinking was sometime hard for him. Beside him lay Forbes his honey pots, and all of them was empty. That's it, I'm hungry, but I have eaten all my honey. Oh, brother, sighed Pooh, wandering back inside his house. Noisily putting more empty jars out of the cupboard, Pooh stuck his paw in one of them. There's a bit left in this one, but hardly enough for a hungry bear like me, he said, as he licked off the honey. Just as his tummy began to rumble with hunger, Pooh heard a buzzing sound. Turn around. He saw a bee fly in through the window. A bee, thought Pooh Bear. Now, what do bees do? They make honey, and the only reason bees make honey is so I can eat it. With a smile on his face, he followed the bee outside and watched it fly up into a tree. Now, if I can just follow that bee, he bounced to lead me to honey, said Winnie the Pooh. As he began to climb the very tall tree, finally Pooh reached the spot where the bee had disappeared. But just as he was about to stick his paw into the hole, the branch he was climbing on broke in half, and Pooh began to fall. Oops, ouch, groaned Pooh as he tumbled from the branch to branch. Splash. Winnie the Pooh landed in a muddy puddle. It all come of liking honey so much, he sighed, as the mud bubbled up around him. Not far away, at the edge of the forest, lived Christopher Robin. He was a good friend to all the animals, always willing to lend a hand. The boy was busy that day helping out Pooh, Eeyore, the donkey who had lost his tail. Now, Eeyore, I'm going to nail your tail back on. Try not to lose it again, said Christopher Robin, as he kneeled down behind the donkey. Kinga and Owl stood nearby watching. A bit to the left, suggested Kinga. No, absolutely not, said Owl. Move it to the right. When Christopher Robin had finished, Eeyore gave his tail a mighty swat. Think, he said, it's just an old tail, but I'm kind of attached to it. Just as the animal and Christopher Robin was congratulating one another, along came Winnie the Pooh. Hello, Pooh Bear. What have you been up to now? Asked Christopher Robin, looking down at his muddy friend. Hello, Christopher Robin. I was just wondering, just thinking about whether you had such a thing as a balloon. Christopher Robin was puzzled. What do you want? What do you want a balloon for? He asked. Winnie the Pooh looked around and whispered, honey. But you don't get honey with a balloon, Christopher Robin pointed out. I do insist, Pooh, as Christopher Robin went to get a balloon. Pooh rolled over and over in another puddle until he was completely covered with mud. Then he took the balloon from Christopher Robin and began floating slowly upward. I'll be able to reach the bee nest, with this, he exclaimed. But the bee will see you, shouted Christopher Robin. Yes, but with this mud all over me, they'll think I'm a little black rain cloud, laughed Winnie the Pooh as he floated higher and higher. Christopher Robin followed along below as the breeze blew Pooh Bear toward the honey tree. When he drifted close enough to the hole, he reached in and pulled out a paw full of honey. Yum yum, nothing like fresh honey, said Pooh, dripping honey everywhere. A swarm of angry bees flew out of the nest and buzzed threateningly around him. Christopher Robin shouted, Winnie the Pooh, I think the bees suspect something. They probably think that you are after their honey, the boy shouted back. By the time a whole swarm of bees buzzed angrily around Pooh, Christopher Robin, I have come to the conclusion that there are not the right sort of bees, said Pooh, slapping away the angry insects. No, not at all. A nice sort of bees, he proclaimed, as the bees stung his nose. As Pooh perched himself unsteadily on top of the gypsum balloon, the swarm of bees suddenly attacked. Soon Pooh heard a loud hissing noise. As air began to escape from the balloon, Christopher Robin called Winnie the Pooh. I think I will come down now. Don't worry, Pooh Bear, said the boy. Christopher Robin ran with an outstretched arm and caught Pooh just before he reached the ground. Silly old bear, laughed the boy. Oh dear, sighed Pooh. If only I didn't like honey so much. But Winnie the Pooh was not one to give up easily. As soon as his bee stung was better, he had another idea. Honey rhymed with bunny, thought Pooh. I think I'll go pay Rabbit a visit. Rabbit was just about to pour himself a cup of tea when Pooh popped his head into the rabbit hole. Anyone at home? He shouted. The startling rabbit spilled his tea. Oh no, not Pooh, he thought in alarm. He'll eat me out of house and home. But Pooh kept calling, and Rabbit realized he couldn't avoid the hungry bear. How about lunch? Asked Rabbit. Thank you, Rabbit. I am feeling a bit hungry, said Pooh, making himself at home. Rabbit brought out a jar of honey. Would you like some honey on your bread? He asked. Don't bother about the bread. I'll just take a tiny helping of honey, said Winnie the Pooh, tying a napkin around his neck. Rabbit poured out a small helping of honey. Pooh's face fell when he saw the tiny golden dot. What's wrong? Asked Rabbit. Well, I did mean a somewhat larger tiny helping, Pooh admitted. Rabbit handed Pooh the jar. Perhaps you should just help yourself, he said. Winnie the Pooh began eating honey. As soon as he finished one jar, he started on another. He ate and ate until he was nearly covered with honey. Then he turned to Rabbit and said, Thank you so much. I think I'll be going now. Rabbit looked at Pooh's large tummy, which was now even larger than usual. You are sure you won't have any more? Pooh looked around at the empty jars. Is there any more? He asked. No, there isn't, answered Rabbit, shaking Pooh's sticky paws. Licking his paws, Pooh started to leave. Suddenly, Rabbit heard a muffled shout. Help, I'm stuck. Sure enough, Pooh was wedged into the entrance to Rabbit House. That's what happened when you eat too much, he said, giving Pooh a push from behind. No, replied Pooh. This is what happened when you make your door too small. Rabbit pushed and Pooh struggled, but he was still stuck. Pooh was wedged in the hole so tightly that he didn't budge an inch. Finally, he began to yell for help. Soon Owl arrived. Well, if this isn't Winnie the Pooh, hello, Owl, replied Pooh. Are you by any chance stuck? Asked Owl. Oh no, just resting and thinking of... That's all, replied the bear. Yes, I say you were definitely in a tight spot, said Owl, taking a closer look. Back inside his house, Rabbit was staring at Pooh's rear end. Oh dear, oh gracefully, if I had to look at that thing for some time, I might as well make the best of it, he muttered. Rabbit placed branches on either side of Pooh's bottom and placed a frame around it. A hunting trophy, he explained, stepping back to admire his work. That night, Pooh was still wedged in the hole when a gopher stopped by. I hear there's a problem here. My name Gopher, and here's my card. What's the problem? I'm the problem, sighed Pooh. I'm stuck in the doorway. Gopher dusted off the beer and tied a scarf around his head. Look as this might take several days, he said, opening his lunchbox. Several days? Gulped Pooh. What about meals? No thing, I brought mine with me, replied the gopher as he began to eat. Later that night, Gopher realized it would be very difficult to unwedge Pooh. Staying out long enough to eat up the last few crumbs of his food, the gopher packed up and left. Oh bother, yawned Pooh Bear. If only I didn't like honey so much, this would never have happened. When Christopher Robin learned of Pooh Bear's predicament, he came running to help. After much thought, the boy decided that the only solution was for Pooh Bear to lose weight. We're going to put you on a diet, Pooh, said Christopher Robin. And a diet means no honey, he declared firmly. Finally, as Rabbit was beginning to give up, ever using his front door again, Pooh began to budge. Christopher Robin, Kinga, and Eeyore tugged on Pooh from the outside when Rabbit pushed from the inside, and with a heavy heave-ho, Pooh was free at last. Several days later, as Winnie the Pooh strolled through the 100-acre woods, a great wind lifted him right off his feet. Oh goodness, I must have lost a lot of weight. I feel as light as a feather, said the surprised bear, and like a feather, Winnie the Pooh was swept up through the trees. It was a very bustler day, and the wind was blowing harder every minute. As he soared around the ground, Pooh heard a familiar voice. Looking ahead, he saw his friend Piglet. Piglet, wait for me, shouted Pooh, as he reached out and grabbed Piglet's scarf. Just then, a strong wind separated the two friends. As Pooh Bear went flying up toward the tree where Owl lived, Piglet hung on a branch with all his might. Owl poked his head out of the door. Nice of you to drop in, Winnie the Pooh, he said. Oh, and I had see you had brought Piglet with you. Well, do come in. As Pooh and Piglet sat in Owl House, they could feel the house swaying from side to side. Owl, in his rocking chair, didn't seem to notice. He was too busy telling them a long story about his relatives. I say, Owl, said Pooh, the house appeared to be moving. Nautilus, de- declared Owl. This house is solid as a rock. It takes more than a little breeze to blow it away. Just as Owl said, just as Owl said this, an enormous gust of wind blew the roof off. Owl cupboard door flew open, and plates and saucers came tumbling out. Before anyone could say a word, Pooh, Piglet, and Owl was all blowing out the house. Pooh found his home and hopped into his warm, snuggle bed, but the night was filled with strange noises. One of the noises had never been heard before. Pooh, being a bear of very little brain, decided to invite the new sound in. He gathered up his courage and his pop gun and went to the door. Winnie the Pooh opened the door and peeled out cautiously. He couldn't see anything, but then, before he knew what had hit him, a large creature with black stripes bounced on top of him, knocking him over. "Hello, I'm Tigger," said the creature, looking down at Pooh. That's spelled T-I double Gur. Tigger, what's your name? My name is Winnie the Pooh, and you scared me, answered Pooh. Of course I scared you. Tigers are supposed to be scary, replied the bouncing tiger, who really wasn't scared at all. The wonderful thing about Tigers is I'm the only one, Tigger continued. Then what's that over there? Asked Pooh, pointing towards the mirror. Tigger bounded over to the mirror. What a funny looking creature, he laughed, seeing his mirror image laughing. Tigger said, I'll teach that animal to laugh at me. He growled at the tiger in the mirror, but when the tiger in the mirror growled back, Tigger began so frightening, he bounced right out of Pooh's house. Pooh thought he should stay awake and keep watch for other strange creatures, like the Huffalump and the Woozies, but he was so tired he fell asleep. He had a very strange dream about Honey and Huffalump and Woozy, and as he dreamed, a heavy rain began to fall. The strange dream soon turned into a nightmare. Just as he dreamed he was drowning in honey, Pooh woke up. He found himself in a puddle, but not of honey. There was water everywhere. Oh no, my honey, yelled Pooh. I mustn't let the water get into my honey jars. Pooh quickly carried all his precious honey jars to safety up in the big tree above his house. The rain continued to fall, and the 100-acre woods got wetter and wetter until it turned into a huge lake. All the climbing had made Pooh a bit hungry. I'll just have a little something, he said, and he poked his nose into one of the jars. While Pooh was busy eating the honey, the water continued to rise all the way up to the branch where the bear sat. A sudden, a sudden wave of water knocked Pooh over, head first, into the honey jar. He was quite a sight with his legs kicking in the air. Floating nearby was Piglet, who was sewing on a kitchen chair. Is that you, Winnie the Pooh? Shouted Piglet. It's me, Piglet. Can you hear me? Piglet was too busy trying to get Pooh's attention to notice a waterfall up ahead. Both Pooh and Piglet cried out in alarm, but there was nothing they could do. They plunged down the roaring waterfall, tumbling over and over as they was tossed about by the falling water. When they landed safely in the river below, Pooh was floating on a kitchen chair and Piglet was inside the honey jar. Luckily, Christopher Robin had been looking for his little friends, and he soon had the waterlogged bear and Piglet safely on dry land. You rescued Piglet, Christopher Robin told Pooh. You are a hero. Once the floodwater had receded, Christopher Robin had a hero party for Pooh. He invited Rabbit, Kinga, and Little Roo, Piglet, Pooh, and even Tigger. Owl made a speech about Pooh bravery, and everything seemed to be back to normal, at, at least for the moment. Several weeks later, while Rabbit was picking carrots in his garden, Tigger happened to be bouncing by. Oh no, groaned Rabbit when he saw Tigger bouncing in his cabbage patch. Would every bounce Tigger would every bounce Tigger splash, scatter, or squash some of Rabbit's favorite vegetables? Hello, Rabbit, shouted Tigger. Rabbit looked around at the scattered vegetables. Tigger, just look what you have done to my beautiful garden, he shouted, waving his fist. Yuck, messy, isn't it? Said Tigger, looking around him. You had ruined it, Tigger. It's your doing, you and your confounding bouncing. Oh, why don't you ever stop bouncing? The angry rabbit demanded. Bouncing is what Tigger do best, Tigger answered. So Rabbit turned to Piglet and Winnie the Pooh. I'm going to teach a Tigger a lesson, he said. Let's take him for a long walk in the woods and lose him. Lose him, asked Pooh. Oh, we'll find him again the next morning, but it will teach the bouncing. They would take the bouncing out of him, answered Rabbit. The next morning, they set off into the forest as usual. Tigger bounced it ahead of everyone. After a while, the three friends managed to lose Tigger, who bounced off in the misty forest. After waiting some time to be sure that Tigger were truly out of sight, Rabbit nudged Pooh and Piglet, and they turned towards home. However, the mist had thickened and everything looked different than before. You know, Rabbit, said Pooh Bear, I don't think we lost Tigger. I think he lost us. Tigger got home before his friends, and so it was that the lesson Rabbit wanted to teach Tigger backfired. When the first snowfall covered the 100-acre woods, Little Pooh waited anxiously for Tigger to come and take him out to play. Now, you play carefully, dear, said Roo. Mother Kinga, when Tigger arrived, and bring Pooh home in time for his nap, she shouted as Tigger and Roo bounded off in the snow. Tigger and Roo reached the frozen pond. Can you ice skate, Tigger? Asked Roo. Sure, ice skating is what Tigger do best, bragging. Tigger as he glided across the ice. Soon Tigger was doing figure eights and even skiing backwards while Roo cheered him on. Tigger began to make more daring moves. He was so busy showing off he didn't even see Rabbit in front of him. Oh no, not you, screamed Rabbit as Tigger came spinning towards them. Out of control. Look out, shouted Tigger. Out of my way, I can't. He's banging right into Rabbit. Stop, Pooh. That poor Rabbit was sent flying through a snowbank and into his own house. Yuck, Tigger hate ice skating, said Tigger as he and Roo bounced it into the woods. Can you climb a tree, Tigger asked Roo. Climb a tree? Why, that's what Tigger do best. Only I don't climb trees, I bounce them. When Roo holding on onto his soldier, Pooh bounced it from limb to limb of a tall tree. Higher and higher he bounced it until he was as high as he can go. The last bounce was too much for Roo, who fell off his friend's shoulder. On the way down, Roo grabbed onto Tigger's tail and began to swing back and forth. This is fun, he shouted. I never swung on a tiger tail before. Hey, stop that, please. You are rocking the forest, said Tigger as the tree began to sway dangerously. Roo let go of Tigger's tail and land on a lower branch. What's wrong, Tigger? He asked. Oh, thank goodness, I was getting seasick, answered Tigger. Just then, Pooh and Piglet spotted Tigger. Hello, shouted the tiger. Why, it's Tigger and Roo, said Pooh. What are you doing? What are you two doing up there? He shouted. We bounced up, but now Tigger is stuck, said Roo. Soon Kinga and Rabbit arrived to see what all the shouting was about. Oh dear, exclaimed Kinga. Well, do be careful, Roo, and jump into my apron. I'll catch you, but try not to fall too fast, said Kinga, as she got ready to catch Roo. Woo, that was fun, giggled Roo. Just right, leaping down and landing into his mother apron. Okay, you're next, Pooh and Rabbit shouted to Tigger. Jump. Tigger don't jump, they bounce, said Tigger, holding on tightly to the tree. Then bounce down, said Pooh. Don't be ridiculous, said Tigger. Tigger don't bounce. Down, they bounce up. Then climb down, shouted Rabbit impatiently. Tigger don't climb down because their tail gets in their way, answered Tigger, wrapping his tail around the tree. That settled it, said Rabbit, who was actually enjoying Tigger's predicament. If he won't jump or climb down, they'll have to stay up there forever. Forever, yelled Tigger. Oh, I promise, if I ever get down from this tree, I'll never bounce again. I'll never bounce again, never. Rabbit was thrilled. Did you hear that, everyone? He asked gleefully. He promised he'll never. Well, he promised he said never. The friend decided that the best way to get Tigger down was for him to slide. So slowly and consciously, with their encouragement, Tigger slid down the tree. You can open your eyes now. You are safe, said Piglet, as Tigger reached the bottom of the tree. Tigger was so happy to be back on the ground, he started to kiss the snow. I'm so happy, I feel like bouncing, he said, and he immediately began to bounce. Wait a minute, you promised, Tigger, said Rabbit. Tigger sat down. I did. You mean I can never bounce again? Not ever, one tiny bounce. Rabbit and the others shook their head. Tigger sighed and sat on a nearby log. There was a long, sad silence. I like the old bouncing Tigger best, said Little Roo. So do we, agreed Kinga and Piglet. Of course we all do, added Winnie the Pooh. Don't you agree, Rabbit? Well, all right, muttered Rabbit. What great resentment. I guess I like the old bouncy Tigger best. Oh boy, said Tigger, bouncing right on top of Rabbit. Come on, I'll teach you all how to bounce. Soon Tigger and the other, included Rabbit, bounced off into the snowy 100-acre woods together. So that was Winnie the Pooh for 1989. So if you like, subscribe, share, and comment, have a groovy day. But another video coming out real soon.